Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Alhamdulillah. So I want to share some of these benefits, man, that I got from the Shaykh while it's still fresh in my head, which I was having to write and put things up while he was talking. So it's some things that's not up there, but these were some key points that I was catching while he was talking, man, because I want to share, of course, with the new shahadas, man, and the brothers, the inner circle, right? So some of the key things, and I'm going to start with, which I got right here, man, as a personal note from the mannerism and something that I learned from the Shaykh. And alhamdulillah, man, Allah allowed me to rectify it, because sometimes when I speak and it's particular things going on in the ummah, I may say a particular group. Now, when it's necessary, you can distinguish. You have to distinguish, because some people, they can't see the lines, right? They may think a particular group, which I'm trying not to say, they may think a particular group, and I'm not naming just one, I'm not referring to one group, but the people that they listen to, and they may listen to different people, they can't distinguish from who's on the hawk or not. It all sounds good. So like sometimes when you pointing out mistakes or pointing out little aspects of that particular type of dawah that a person should avoid, sometimes in most cases I'll say a particular group to distinguish, but from the mannerism from the Shaykh is he didn't really push it that way. And he didn't push it that way because you want to do it in a manner where if it is a particular group, that they will accept what you're saying. Like if you say a particular group, or if you say something, even if you not, let's say for instance, I might be saying when I say a particular group, but I'm referring to the Mutazila or Mutazila as some say, right? Let's say I'm referring to that particular group. But if it's some people who feel like they're in a group, or they Salafis that only accept them, and by me saying a particular group, and they may feel like some of these characteristics apply to them, or people say they had these characteristics, so even though I might not be referring to them or don't know them to have that particular characteristic, they may get offended and reject it. You see what I'm saying? So the way he pushed it, so like it ain't always necessary to distinguish, but when it's time to distinguish, and like I said, this is a personal note, and sometimes when it's time to distinguish, although I had to say, like some people who watch the videos don't realize that me and some particular people, not every time, but a lot of the times when they late at night, it's some people that's on Zoom. We're on Zoom. I'm just recording for YouTube. So sometimes when I'm talking, they may say something and I catch a comment and I start addressing it. But like if you can't see them and you can't see the comment, it may seem like I'm here, I'm there, but I'm really talking and explaining, but responding to them at the same time. So, but we understand it because we can see the comments and everything that's going on in the Zoom. So when I do be saying a particular group, because a lot of times I really am truly addressing about 90% of the time, and I'm really trying to address and get the message and get the dawah into the hands of the new shahada, because that's who we really on Zoom for, which started off as late night sessions for us, and then as they came in and they, the brothers started pulling them in their group. The conversations and how we was doing the late night sessions actually changed to where they not really late night sessions. It's catering to the new shahadas. So although it would be like a little private setting, but sometimes I don't stay mindful that it's going on YouTube also. So I when I start to distinguish, because it could lead to people rejecting, or it could lead to people getting angry, like the things that end up in my on Telegram, or unsubscribing, and the little things that go on, and hitting the thumbs down button. But sometimes, man, if the shoe is fitting, then you know what I'm saying, it's something within you that you need to rectify. So that's a personal note that I got, man. Distinguish when necessary. Because the way he was kicking it, he was saying how knowledge can't be based off of ignorance. Your teachers, the people you listening to, especially if you're restricted to who you can listen to, because you're only going to get their point of view. So they can't have a level of ignorance. And we know that sometimes when it comes to America and some places, some people really just doing the best that they can. They don't have anybody else. Sometimes they just have to pull together, right? Sometimes they just have to pull together and try to establish whatever they can. But then sometimes in the midst of that, sometimes people do have ulterior motives sometimes. You just have to have enough knowledge to see through it. So like you said, knowledge can't be based off of ignorance, because it will only cause more ignorance. You understand? Basically, a person who's ignorant and teaching, 90% of what they teach is going to be ignorance. But it may be cloaked under knowledge. And it may sound good, but either the context isn't correct, the personal perspective that they put on it may not be correct, because there may be some malice in it. You know what I'm saying? To keep you under their stronghold. So one thing we had to know, that, man, knowledge can't be based off of ignorance. If we husbands and we teaching our wives and our families, whether it be her kids that's not ours, our kids together, or our kids that's not hers, but we collectively a family or whatever, you have to educate yourself and make sure what you got going on is decent. It's at least good. Right? It's at least good, because you don't want to be the cause of your family being ignorant, or your wife being ignorant. Okay? So knowledge can't be based off of ignorance, because it will cause more ignorance. Which comes to another point. Like he was saying from the side of the minhaj, is to seek beautiful companionships. When you know how to seek beautiful companionship, then you will seek beautiful companionship in marriage. You understand? Our companionship, because this is from Quran, Sunnah, and it's from the mannerism of the Salaf. There's ijma on seeking beautiful companionship, such as you're going to be up on the religion of your Khalil. And a Khalil there's a difference between a Khalil and a Siddiqui. my friend, or Sadiq, your friend. The hadith actually speaks of a Khalil. So this is like a close companion. You're around, they know your life, you know their life, you know their secrets, they know your secrets. This is like a very close companion. Not just a friend, somebody you speak to here and there. And I don't want to go into that because I'm going into clarifying the mistake that they make when they put hukums on people and use the hadith and don't distinguish between a Khalil and a Sadiq. You see what I'm saying? A regular friend. Somebody you just salam at the masjid, shake their hand and see them in a grocery store. Right? A brother or sister in Islam, but they not necessarily your companion. So you have to seek beautiful companionship. Right? Which he got another point, which is up here, where it's coming in saying, don't accompany the wicked because you will become a part of them. You see what I'm saying? Don't accompany the wicked because you will become a part of them. Man, Allahu Akbar. So, he also stated, when Allah blesses a person in knowing the Quran and the Sunnah with the correct creed, like really knowing Quran, Sunnah, and the correct creed, the Aqidah, the minhaj, the consensus of the Sahaba. When you really know it and you understand it, it becomes wajib for you to convey this message to the people. It's mandatory for you to give that dawah. You understand? Why is it mandatory for you to give that dawah? Because part of the Muslim Ummah is to rectify the affairs of the Muslims. When we look at the landscape of the Rasul and his companions, 2 or 3 of them can go to a whole town and eventually convert the whole town, the whole city. And that's why I will say this, I give credit to people like the Tablighi Jamaat because they use that mannerism. One of them may show up to your city, come to your masjid, play his position, and because he may be a foreigner, he may be able to move up in the ranks of your masjid because for some reason a lot of us, not saying that we shouldn't, and this isn't like, I hope this don't sound like some nationalistic point of view. And when I say foreigner, that doesn't mean skin color. They could be from Ethiopia. They could be from the Sudan. They can be from Ghana. You understand? Because we automatically equate overseas with this Muslim government, Sharia-based countries. Everything is Islamic education. So they may be able to move up through the ranks. So like one thing with the Tablighi, so when 1 show up, then 2 show up, then 3 show up, then 4 show up, then next thing you know, they're running your masjid. Then next thing you know, they're establishing corner stores, fish and chicken spots. They're coming in and making a way for them and theirs. And doing Islam, practicing the Islamic rituals the way that they see fit. But the way that they moving is actually from the minhaj of the companions. You understand? They may come to the city, and then if it's like a masjid that they may not necessarily agree with, they'll go get an apartment. Depending on their funds, they're going to go get an apartment, establish a masjid in that apartment. Might not have no imam, might not have no khatib. They'll read from a book of khutbahs. Even if it's in all Arabic and they can recognize the letters, but they don't understand what's being said, they'll read it in all Arabic, which would be some kutbars written by real scholars or whatever. They're going to do whatever they can to establish, even if they might have to do some bid'ah, but this is the only thing that they know. They're going to establish something. They're going to get a house. I've done seen it. So this moving in this mannerism and sticking together and keeping their differences, because a lot of times, from what I've seen, the Indian, Pakistani Muslims bump head with the Arab Muslims. The people from Yemen, Jordan, Kuwait, and the Iraqs and all that come over here, Syria, people from Turkey, they generally bump heads with the Indian Pakistanis. But sometimes, because the way the Tablighi Jamaat move, and they go and connect from masjid to masjid and move around for 40 days, they establish connections. And then if they can connect in this masjid, this person, this Indian brother, he's an engineer. He done worked his way up into the ranks through his job and used some education. He can get you hired. He can set you up where you could do odd jobs around the masjid until you get on. Set you up and help you become an Uber driver. Hook you up with one of the brothers behind the counter, selling beer, cigarettes, pork, and marijuana, and whatever the store offers, until you can get up on your own and establish your money, and until you get on your feet. They establish connections with one another until they all own. And then once they get to a point, they pull more family members and friends in. This is from the minhaj of the Salaf. Regardless to the message that they might be carrying with them, but they're going to get it cracking. So, and I give them their credit for that. I love that about them. And when they set up a masjid, they set up a foundation so that the masjid will continue on. If something happened to them, if they move to another city, they set up the foundation so that their grandkids can inherit the positions in the masjid. Their grandkids going to be the next hafiz. Their grandkids is going to be the next members on the board. Their grandkids, their great grandkids is going to be the ones who putting the money and taking care of the stuff in the masjid so it won't be taken away from them. See? And they're not going to be dependent on no grants or none of that. They're going to put a certain amount of money, pull their resources together. They be, you know what I'm saying? The structure is from Islam. Now, some of the message that they may carry, yeah, but that don't mean it ain't like it's 100% up out of there. You gotta love it. So he also, one of the things where he said was, seeking knowledge from the Salaf is your salvation, because the way and the truth is in there. Because like he said, we stop wherever they stop in deeds, action, and speech, because this was a beautiful statement, because they are the stars which guides the Muslims. And if you know, like at a point in time, people use the stars in the skies and the moon and stuff and the sun as a navigational tools. Because the sun gonna rise here and the sun gonna set here, so we know this is east, south, west. Opposite of that is north. These stars right here every day. This is the North Star. This is this. So they use it as navigational tools, land and sea. When they was on boats, trying to explore while they was traveling on foot, and even when they get to the point where they was in the air. But by the time they got to the point in the air, they did have sophisticated navigational tools such as certain compasses and stuff, which is still based off of your navigational tools of the environment. So like he said, the companions, the Salaf, they are the stars which guide the Muslims. Alhamdulillah. We need to use them as our navigational tools. Right? So, seeking the knowledge from them, the salvation, your way to Jannah is in it because of the steps that they take. Right? And because they have way more knowledge than us, and they have done way more deeds than us. Right? He also stated that beautiful statement, when following the minhaj of the Salaf, the companions, you have to give great care. Now, alhamdulillah, man, this made my eye tweak. It kind of made my eye tweak. Well, wallahi, it's touching my heart. Like I'm getting choked up a little bit. Like I'm starting to feel that little, this right here above my eye, like my eyebrows, man. Like I want to tear up. Where he said you have to give great care in following the Sunnah and Hadiths. You need to be Ahlul Hadith, because the prophetic methods is where we get the correct understanding of the rulings and ibadah. Everything that the Quran calls for, the commandments from Allah, you're going to find how to implement all of those things in practice, in theory. And I'm saying in theory because sometimes you have to be able to make adjustments. There's things in the deen where you can make adjustments. So sometimes it has to be, in theory. This may seem like when we get over here, we might have to move this way, this, that, and the third. But when you get there, you still got to know enough sunnah to not fall into some deviations or some bid'ah and start creating your own thing where you're going to stay lawful. So you have to give great care in following the sunnah, the hadiths. You're going to have a relationship with hadiths to be able to do this proficiently. Just like when it comes to the Quran, you got to really have a good, sound relationship with your Quran. Right? I was in class this morning, man. Like, I couldn't really take notes because I was grocery shopping. I had to do what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times this class, man, because of different time zones, and I'm grocery shopping 7 a.m. So I gotta bust my phone out and throw my little headsets in while I'm walking around the store, benefiting from the lessons. I can't answer any questions or nothing. Or like if I get called on or something like that, I'll pause and get somewhere where there's not a lot of people and try to answer. But that's rare. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, he was referring to like how in the Quran, right? How it switched from Allah Azza wa Jal speaking directly. Like let's say Allah is addressing the hypocrites. So Allah is speaking directly to the hypocrites. Right? Then the conversation is switched to where he's speaking about the hypocrites, putting a Rasul on. But when a person is a hypocrite, you have to understand, that's why I be talking about at that time when the Quran is being revealed, this really deepened it in the heart of some people, because this stuff is being revealed about you, but you know that the Rasul don't know this about you. You know this ayat, you know this what you and this group was up on, and Allah reveals it in the Quran. So it goes from speaking to them, then about them. But like if you don't know the Arabic and the grammar, you can't see the switch. If you sometimes you can't catch it from English, especially if you don't read tafsirs. So and the benefits you get from knowing when it switch and these type of things, but you got to have a strong relationship with your Quran. And you got to have a strong relationship with hadiths. The salvation is in these things. You have to have a strong relationship with the people who implemented these things in a manner that Allah Azza wa Jal guaranteed some of them Jannah while they were still on earth. They knew when they passed away they was going to Jannah. See, some of us may think it, we may tell ourselves, just like some of the worst Christians you may see. They all think they're going to heaven. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's a thing that I don't want to touch on it, but like let's say me, I'm gonna use myself for example. Let's say I have people in my family that be out here killing people, robbing people, and they might even be Muslim, and they be into all type of stuff, and everybody knows it. I'm not gonna side with them. I'm not gonna sit up and make excuses for them. If a person sit up and be like, hey man, your brother a Muslim, man, why he out here shooting up the club? Why he robbed this one? Why he go in here and put a gun to this baby head and take these people's stuff, put a gun to their baby head? I'm gonna be like, cause he's stupid. That's not what the Muslims is supposed to do. Man, why your cousin do this and this? Why your uncle this and this? I'm not gonna be like, hey, because I'm Muslim, man. And Islam comes first. You out here ruining the reputation of the Muslims and making Islam look bad. What I'm gonna side with you for? What I'm gonna stick up for you for? Because then I'm just as bad as you, and then I'm gonna be even worse. Because when I know somebody that's exactly like you or a little bit less worse than you, that's not a family member, oh man, I'll talk about them like they the devil themselves. But then when it comes to my family member, I'm going to talk about them like they supposed to be in Jannah. How dare you? How dare people say something? That's not from the Muslim, man. We about justice, man. You understand? Just like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made a statement that if his daughter got caught stealing to the point where the punishment had to be implemented, he would cut the hand off his own daughter. We don't have that. Our kids, our siblings, our parents can be some of the Islamically, because in society it might make them cool, but Islamically they may be amongst the scum of the earth, and we'll defend them and hide them, obey them. Not sooner. Now, of course, I ain't gonna call the police on you. I ain't gonna turn you in. I ain't gonna snitch on you. But I'm gonna be like this: skedaddle. You could be you could be my kid. Get away from me with that, man. You ignorant. You know what I'm saying? Muslim, non-Muslim. You could be my parent. You know I love you. I'm gonna come check you out, but that ignorance you got going on, I ain't with that. So these type of things and having these mannerisms, man, and being about justice is part of the deen. You see what I'm saying? It's a part of the deen. Another beautiful statement he had was, above every knowledgeable person is someone that's more knowledgeable. So don't say you are the knowledgeable one, because Allah will remove the knowledge from your heart. Beautiful statement, because this also ties into addressing characteristics without saying a particular group. Don't get to calling yourself no ustad. Don't get to calling yourself Shaykh when you never even went through the process of being a real student of knowledge. Because the knowledge might be removed from your heart, which means what? Where's your real intentions? Where's your real sincerity? Is you trying to uplift ignorance from yourself and the people? Or is you trying to cloak your ignorance and pass it on to the people posed as their teacher? The deen not in your heart. Just like, and I'm going to stop pointing out these things, because I'm only pointing it out because how major the issue it is. You can see somebody at work and they work with some kafirs. Or you can see somebody walking the streets or going in a grocery store, and a kafir may need the door open for him. And they'll open the door for him. This is dawah. The Muslim is supposed to be this way. And they'll open the door for a kafir. Somebody at work might be carrying something. They'll help them carry it. Somebody may be crossing the street and a dog may be coming. You might warn them that hey, get back. It's a dog over there. But they may be a kuffar. They may be a horrible kuffar. They may hate Muslims. They may hate whatever color your skin is. You can be white and the black person, I'm saying in reverse, right? The person, because I'm saying in reverse. You can be the white person, and the black person may hate your skin because you white, hate you because you white, but they'll still help you. You can be white and hate that person because they black, and you will still help them because you feel like this is from Islam. But if a Muslim goes to a masjid that you don't go to, that's not a masjid of bid'ah, you can't prove it to be a masjid of bid'ah, you won't help them. You won't salam them. You won't open the door for them. You won't warn them if a dog getting ready to bite them. Or it may be a sister who got colors on. You not going to salam her. You not going to help her. Other sisters not going to, but you'll help the kuffar. See, true knowledge of Islam has been removed from your heart. Something is seriously wrong with your Islam if you feel like you can mistreat another Muslim because they have on colors. And this is where it's saying, but you may be cloaked under the garbs of people thinking you a sheikh. You may be cloaked under the garbs of the people of knowledge, but it has been removed from your heart. And you spreading ignorance and things that's doing more harm than good. You know what I'm saying? So just knowing that and being mindful of that, even if you is a person who do have a little bit of ilm up under you. And you might be around other people who ain't took the steps that you've taken, and they might feel like when it comes to subject matters, I mean, it just is what it is. You may be more knowledgeable than them, but you just be like, I'm really just one of y'all. This ain't about who know this, ain't about know that. This is about rectifying an affair, trying to get something off the ground so that we can have a community that understands how to work together and grow and build. This ain't about because a person quoting this and that because it fit the situation. This ain't about them thinking that they Islam is better than everybody else. Man, we putting our head together. Can we put our heads together and figure out how to screw this light bulb in? Basically, what I'm saying, that's a metaphor for going from darkness into the light. Can we put our heads together and figure out how to twist this light bulb into a socket? Because, and that metaphor comes from an old saying where they used to say, it used to be a joke about certain races of people when they say, how many this race of people do it takes to screw in a light bulb? Can they figure out how to take themselves from darkness to light? They so dumb that they can't even figure out how to get together and twist the light bulb in. So they just forever in darkness. So that's just a reminder, man, that you still have to be careful what you have, because you don't want Allah to remove the knowledge from your heart, where it's just speech, you just talking, you just spewing rhetoric. A'udhu billah nahnu min dhalik. You know what I'm saying? So another thing that he said, right? Which I'm gonna get to this up here, which was beautiful. Matter of fact, let's start up there because this is what I'm going to. So he said this was a statement. I was writing, so like I'm standing here writing like while he's going through. Once he started getting into the deep part, right? So I'm not sure if it was his statement or he said statement of the scholar. I couldn't remember, but I know this is a statement of some scholars. I didn't know if it was past or present, like I said, because I'm writing while he's talking. But he said, they said that there's two blessings in which I don't know which is better. Man, Allahu Akbar. The two blessings. One blessing is Allah guiding me to Islam. Allahu Akbar, right? We all agree that's a blessing, right? Or Allah guiding me to a person of the Sunnah to teach me how to implement Islam in the manner of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Think about that. There's two blessings in which I don't know which one is better. Allah guiding me to Islam, to take my shahada and accept Islam, or Allah guiding me to a person of the Sunnah to teach me how to implement Islam in the manner that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam implemented it. But as he continued on and says, he broke down, a person can be guided to Islam, but at the same time when they guided to Islam, they also guided to incorrect beliefs. They're guided to incorrect speech. They're guided to incorrect actions. Right? But they Muslim. They took their shahada, so they Muslim, but due to the way that they call, they might feel like through the gate, I can hate other Muslims because of the masjid they go to. I can hate other Muslims because of the type of clothes that they have on. I can hate other Muslims because of who they listen to. They may be under the guise, I can keep gang banging. My gang is what brought me to Islam. It wasn't no righteous student. It wasn't no stories of the Prophet. I joined the gang, and part of being in the gang was I have to be Muslim. Right? And I can pull from wherever. I can pull from Farrakhan. I can pull from Shaykh al-Bey. Whoever one of these new leaders of the Moorish Science Temple. I can pull from this people, this person. Right? And a version of Islam, I could keep drinking, I could keep fornicating, I could keep smoking marijuana, I can kill another Muslim, go do 2 rakats for Toba, and I'm perfectly fine. This is incorrect beliefs, this is incorrect speech, and this is incorrect actions. But you're a Muslim. But then, when you have another group where this ignorance has spread because they haven't obtained the level of knowledge in which they seek, but they cloaked under the garments of one that has that knowledge. Right? So they spread. When you see people that have this type of ignorance, shun them. Shun them unless they're your friend, unless they claim your label. They can claim your label and keep gang banging and getting high and drunk, pop 1,000 perks. as long as they claim your label. But if they don't, he's jahil, he's miskin. We don't want to say nothing about that. They might leave Islam. Have they entered it? Have they entered the fold? When you understand the nullifiers. Oh, they got on colors. Oh, this. They're not Asheri. They believe that Allah is actually where he says he is in the Quran, because they don't understand. No salam in them. No treating them like Muslims. No getting together and bringing about some correction and rectification of the Ummah. No even, let's get together. Cool. Me being on drugs, me wanting to gang bang, don't pull me into a fight about where Allah is. Don't hate me because I feel like Allah is this, or don't hate me or mistreat me because I go to a different masjid. Let's get the understanding of me. Stop drinking, fornicating, and gangbanging first. Work together, and then these little subtle Aqidah issues, set them to the side and collectively uplift the Muslim Ummah. That's the minhaj of the Salaf. So you could be guided to taking your shahada, but you could be up on all of this: incorrect belief, incorrect speech, and incorrect actions. And especially if it's tied to a race version. This the black version. This the War of Deen. This the Salafi. This is the black version. This is the Pakistani version. This the Tabliki, the Deobandi. This is the Somali. This is the Arab. And then you try to hide some of the ignorance cloaked under the garbs of madhabs. We Maliki, this is the black madhab, and all this other stuff, but we not correcting the ignorance of the Muslims. But we fighting over where's Allah, what colors you wear, what masjid you go to, who you listen to. There's something wrong with your Islam if you stuck there. Alhamdulillah. So, when he said, so to have a person of the Sunnah as a guide is the true blessing. Right? Because the people of the Sunnah will pull you into their way with dalil, real proofs and evidence, not stuff that sound like it. Right? So, and it says, which I came up and matched this quote with this one, so you don't want to accompany the wicked because you will become a part of them. And a Muslim should be aware of Allah's innovations in order to flee from them and avoid them. Well, you don't fall into them, but at the same time, when you see people in them, you want to rectify it. You see what I'm saying? And like I did a video about how we fell into, because we have this street code, this street element, how we root for the criminal. It's a situation, like it could be a situation like that I spoke on, where Muslims who I'm sitting up in private conversations telling me and showing me what they doing. And then I'm sitting up saying, man, you can't do this. And then the people that they're doing it to, who aren't even aware of it and can't catch on to it because they stabbing them in the back with a smile on their face. If I address it and put them onto the game, they'll get mad at me. Oh, like what you said, I don't think you could talk about that. So I'm supposed to just sit up there and let them take a dookie on you after I told them to stop? After I told them y'all finna ruin everything that we doing? Oh man, wallahi, man, I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to get you involved in this. Well, now you have. And I'm not going to play a part in it. Fear Allah, itaqillah, and stop this action, bro. No. It benefits my dunya. Alright. Some people hate the truth, man. We toxic, B. But, like I say, when we know to look to the minhaj, when we understand that Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma' is the law of the land, then we know what real dalil is. I got a trivia question about the rain that's floating around. A trivia question about the rain, about thunder and lightning. Is thunder and lightning caused by, is it from two rain clouds bumping together? The angels. There's three options. What was it? What's the other option? There's no explanation or something. I can't remember the other option. But one of the people who I talked to, and I had to say wallahi. The reason why I say wallahi a lot, because I want people to understand that these true stories, because other people will go and like people who listen to me and like in the environment and be like, oh man, he just making that up. He just saying that because he trying to talk about us. Weirdoism. Right? So when I'm saying wallahi and this and that, but then the people who we really had these conversations, they know because it's them. But then, like I say, it might be other people feeling like it's them, and we never had these conversations. They have a guilty conscience. And see, a lot of times you have these guilty conscience because you haven't made tawbah, or you haven't expiated the things that's making you feel this guilt. So it's something you need to rectify. You got some enmity in your heart that shouldn't be there. So the question kind of baffled them. So, you know, they not baffled them. That I don't want to use that word. They was looking at it like, I feel like this is the right answer, but I don't have yaqeen. I'm not certain. So I'm saying, why do you feel like that's the right answer, though? Let's start digging. We're going to turn this into a teachable moment. Well, you know, naturally, educatedly, this is a good educated guess. So I'm sticking with this answer. So I scrambled it a little bit. Scrambled it up. And because they wasn't sure, they didn't have yaqeen, a little bit of doubt setting in. Because sometimes they're jig looking for some type of clue or confirmation. You know what I'm saying? They'll do a little jig like, okay, the way you responded, I know I'm right. So I scrambled it because the doubt was already there. So now once I know, I'm starting to know them enough, once the doubt sits in, they're going to go look for clarity. So as they go look for clarity, I drop a jewel. Quran, surah this. I don't give them no ayat, no nothing. This surah, this, that. They come right back with the ayats about it. So I know they done win. Even if they just went through the internet. I don't care how you do it. Get to it though. You see what I'm saying? So they come back with the ayats. Well, I look at it, and when I look at it this way, it's still not making the answer 100% clear. So boom. And how I scrambled it up, I sent them a tafsir. But the tafsir, and this tafsir Ibn Kathir, where it had particular statements from the Salaf. So now when they looking at it like, oh, this tafsir, me reading this, and I'm saying to them, what's the next step? If what you're getting isn't clear from the Quran and the tafsir, what's the next step? You have to go to the Sunnah and see how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam explained it, how he implemented it. Because sometimes the companions had their own opinion. Is this an isolated statement? Is this ijma? So when you read in tafsir, sometimes it'll be that isolated statement. And then when you're dealing with it in English, sometimes it may throw you. So then when we go to the hadiths, but it was a teachable moment where they like, oh, okay, so tafsirs, basically tafsirs is this is this, and then I'm like, yeah, but this is how they work. You have to know, because some people may say tafsir says this. This is the end all of their argument, because they're trying to win an argument. Not knowing that may be an isolated statement of one particular person's opinion. That's not the law. That's not Sharia. That's their opinion. Because like they have, when you're familiar with tafsirs, it'll be like, Mujahid Ikrimah said this. Ibn Abbas and Ali said this. But the correct view is this. So it'll be showing where they differed as well. And but then it may say, but all of these perspectives is permissible, or the correct view, or the strongest view, because those views not necessarily incorrect, but this view is the strongest. So allowing them to see that and see how it works, where they can have that, where that light bulb go off, like, okay. So then when you look at the hadiths, so like some of the questions, they be attached to Quran and hadiths, but you have to know how to look at it. You have to know the lil is Quran, Sunnah, Ijma. If you can't get into that clarity in the Quran where you're not trying to give it your own perspective, even if you looked at one tafsir on it, you got to go to the hadiths. You got to have a relationship with the hadiths to even be able to find it and attach it to the Quran ayat if tafsirs haven't done it for you. Then you have to have a relationship with the people that they taught, that the Rasul taught, to know, is it ijma on this, is this, and a lot of these steps is being lost. So we got to have a relationship, man, with the Quran and the Sunnah and ijma. One person asked me, why do I stick, like, why am I such a hadith fanatic? And you know what I told him? Because ijma is implied. If this hadith is sahih, the majority, if not all, the majority of the companions, the majority of the salaf, they all agree on it. So when you starting with sahih, when you starting with hasan hadiths that still sound, they good, the ijma is already implied. When you don't know how to go look at what these different people, the books they wrote, the explanations they wrote, and you don't know how to look for ijma. When it comes to the hadith, the ijma is already implied. That's why, like, sometimes when you turn it towards the madhabs, the ijma isn't always implied, because the Hanafi madhab may disagree with the Maliki, the Hanbali, and the Shafi'i. The Shafi'i may disagree with the Hanbali, the Maliki, and the Hanafis. The Hanafis and the Hanbali might agree, and then the Shafi'is and the Malikis might agree on the same issue. So it's split down the middle. Two believe this way, two believe that way. The ijma is not implied. So then when you go and look at what they looked at as dalil, or the lack thereof, they may not have the dalil from the hadiths when this issue came about. So when you stick to the hadith, when you stick to the sunnah, the prophetic methodologies, the ijma is already implied. Now, when it comes to stuff that may be da'if, when it comes to stuff that may, and like there's nothing else out there, the only hadiths on the subject matter is da'if. But they be in accordance with, they line up with some hadiths that sahih, but there's isnad issues, but they still kind of line up with what's sahih, but they're da'if. Some of those things, then you might see different opinions in this, that, and third, because it's not sound. So the ijma isn't implied. That's why, and on top of that, I was taught from the jump, because like I said, I came through the different stages of dawah. It was Quran and Sunnah off top. You had to be proficient in Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim. You had to be. I come from that phase. But as sitting in classrooms and sitting around different students that I can't even amount to a pinch of their fingernail, and understanding Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, and this, that, and the third, and really learning and going through these steps and digging and doing my own research, having my own hadith sessions, busting down, like let's say the Tahara. Look at the madhab, Fiqh Tahara by the Hanafi madhab. Tahara is basically like purification, where it go through your both purifications, your physical, like your wudu, your ghusl, and then your purifications of the heart and things like that, right? So look at the madhabs, and what they have is like the Fiqh Tahara, things to do to purify your inner and your outer. Then I go get Sahih Bukhari, the Book of Tahara, Sahih Muslim, the Book of Tahara, Nasa'i, the Book of Tahara, and get every single book of hadith that has a Book of Tahara in it, and sit down and read all the hadiths through all of them. Da'if, rejected, Hasan, Sahih, and look at all of them, look at the grades, look at the explanation, and then starting to see, alhamdulillah, look at the chain of, look at the isnad. Some of them isnad be crazy long. The ijma's there. This one, I asked Ismail, Imam Bukhari. Tamidi may say, I asked Imam Bukhari about this issue, and he told me this, and said things like, I went to all the top scholars in all the regions. I done sat with a numerous amount of scholars in the hundreds, maybe 1,000. And all of them said that this. And then all of them said that from the personal knowledge who they sat back, basically linking the isnad to ijma of the salaf. Beautiful, man. So the ijma is already implied. You know what I'm saying? And that's a jewel. You might have some people that might not agree with that statement, but tell them to dig into it and look. The ijma is implied. It's sahih, it's sound. If it's a hadith that you can't argue about, if it's a hadith that you can't debate, how is it not ijma on it? How is it not ijma on the hadith? The ijma is implied. And then when you stick to the rules of hadith, what's sahih trumps what's hasan. So like, cause some people will go try to get a hadith that's da'if and throw it up against a hadith that's authentic. Authentic hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, take our left hand, put the right hand over it, and put our hands in this region in salah. No argument, no debate. It was commanded. Da'if hadith, this, look, sahih hadith, this is what the Rasul commanded us to do. Da'if, weak hadith, where a person say, I seen Ali praying, not mentioning, was it a sunnah prayer? Was he leading a foward prayer? What was the prayer? Was it a two rakats for Toba? What exactly was the prayer? But I seen Ali praying and he had his hands below his navel. And then another person come in and say, well, when I seen Ali praying, he had his hands like this. Now people may say you could differ. It's both permissible. But when you understand the science, one, what a companion does, what you see a companion do, doesn't trump what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam do. They didn't say I seen the Prophet doing this. I seen Ali do it. Well, I seen Ali do something different. And then the hadith is da'if because there's issues in the isnad, and then it's strange because you done had thousands of Muslims seen Ali pray. Why you the only person who's seen him do this? Why it ain't 500 other Muslims coming out saying, I seen Ali praying with his hand below his navel too? You know what? I was with him in the group when we seen Ali praying this way. One person seen it. But what you seen Ali do without any explanation, was it foward? Was he leading a prayer? What was this prayer? Secondly, it doesn't trump what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did, and it definitely doesn't trump what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam commanded. And then on top of that, what's commanded, Sahih Hadith, the ijma is there. What you seen somebody else do is da'if. There's a debate back and forth because it's an athar. Not Ali told us to do this. Not Ali commanded us to do this. I seen Ali do this. And then where other people came in and said this was a mistake in the language. He really meant above. But so when it comes to the madhab, like I say, the ijma might not be, the ijma isn't implied a lot of times. And then they may cloak it under, well, that's subsidiary. This is an issue that don't matter because we agree that's just a sunnah, not fard. You don't have to do it, but you could do it this way or this way if you want to. And then they might agree on that. But where's the statement of the Sahaba saying you could do it this way or that way? But they come into that conclusion because they're basing a da'if hadith and say, well, Ali did it this way, but is that sahih? Is that correct? There's issues with that. So it doesn't trump what's sahih. So once you start to learn that and understand that, your foundations will be stronger. So anyway, man, let me get up out of here, man, and go and do what I got to do, man. I just wanted to, inshallah, man, get a brother some of the benefit from what the Shaykh was talking about. I did record some of it, a short amount, and I just put it on like one of them little 30-second little reels or whatever. Because like I said, I didn't want to record a lot of it and then post it and hold it like this because I don't know what they're going to do with it, and then I end up with a copyright strike. Because sometimes some of the students and different things, or like they connected to masjids, and then they might have a private YouTube channel that with a subscription where you pay $2 a month or $3 a month, and then you have to join that channel, and then like some of these videos with the scholars and certain things, it be on that private channel. So I could have did it and got like a strike, a copyright strike, if they have it where it's private in some type of what's that other one they call it? I can't think of the name of it. Like because YouTube, they could be loose with it. There's some other little app, some little thing you could do. Like if people want to cuss and people want to do this and talk about all this other stuff, but you know, it got like a little paid subscription. I can't think of the name of it, but they might have it on that. So I just put it in a little 30-second reel because they let you remix them, or you can do it like a certain amount of seconds and this and that. And then if they do it, then they can remove the content and it'll remove from the reel, as opposed to me showing y'all in a video like this and they remove the whole thing and nobody get the benefit from it. So, you know, anybody see the little reel, little 30-40 second reel, and because he was snapping, man, he was going in. You know what I'm saying? I was stuck probably for about 5-6 minutes, like yo. Then I jumped up and started saying, you know, it was first when he started right here. I started writing right here. Then I had to stand up, man. You know what I'm saying? So alhamdulillah, man, I just wanted to share that benefit, man. Time for me to go and get up out here and get busy, man. You know, and inshallah, man, some people benefit. You know, I know I'm going to step on some toes, man. So, you know, I definitely apologize for that, because I understand I'm still talking to some Muslims, and my intentions, it's not to offend. My intentions is to rectify, or at least bring to unblur the lines, to remove some of the fog so that people can see clearly. Let me twist this light bulb on for you. You know what I'm saying? So I apologize for that. And I know everybody don't understand the same way. And sometimes when you listening with enmity and you listening with emotions, Shaitan can play a trick on you, and then you, instead of hearing what I'm saying, you hear what you think I'm saying. So I apologize on that aspect, because I am truly sorry. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.